Hello guys, welcome back to another episode review of Hollyoaks for 23rd December 2022. The episode started off with John Paul found in Price Slice. Felix spotted him there. I think he crashed there for the night. Felix was obviously concerned about him and brought him back to the McQueens. He had a chat with John Paul, and I thought that was quite nice of Felix actually. Also to book I think it was a self-help meeting for John Paul, booked a taxi for John Paul to go there, and booked him a taxi to bring John Paul back home as well. I thought that was pretty nice actually, because obviously Felix is going out with Mercedes and he's showing, some sort of care for her family as well. That's what really the McQueens want from their other half, I guess, because they're very strong with their family. And yeah, I do think I can see John Paul and Felix being like good mates in the future. The more Felix spends time with their family, and obviously as soon as time develops, and he's been going out with Mercedes for quite a while. The only obstacle, unfortunately, is Bobby. And when I say the only obstacle, it shouldn't be underestimated, because Bobby is a dangerous character, and especially what he's capable of as well. And he just doesn't like the fact that now his mum's paying attention to Felix rather than having her sole focus on him. And I think that's the only reason why Bobby's kind of angry at Felix, and he's opened up a letter from his granddad, or a note, maybe a previous note, saying that if something's in your way to your happiness or something, you should always eliminate that person, which is quite a dangerous statement, because what does it exactly mean by eliminate? And given Silas's track's history about murdering people, also Bobby had a couple of murders in his name as well, I do feel quite concerned for Felix's safety now, because Felix definitely needs to watch out. And obviously it looks like he's 10 years old, and Felix, obviously any adult as well, they're not going to really think Bobby is harmful, apart from Goldie, because obviously she knows Bobby quite all too well, and she's definitely onto Bobby and wants to bring him down. Bobby's most recent murder was Verity, and Felix better be careful if he is, the way, especially I think he needs to suck up to Bobby. That is his best chance, honestly, because Bobby is a dangerous character. Remember, it's not a physical fight. He'll either get you somehow. So obviously they're very good at playing chess, and even in real life they're very good at playing chess in terms of relationships and kind of having one over another person and having advantage or leverage, etc. So I do think that when I was watching the episode, I did feel like Felix could have, when Bobby was talking about some prehistoric facts from a textbook, Felix could have just, give him a bit more attention. Even though if Bobby might show some attitude, he's a kid at the end of the day, a dangerous kid, fair enough, but Felix doesn't know that. So he could have just, made Bobby a little bit happy and say, that's an interesting fact. What book is that? So just make conversation with him. Just like he did, obviously, helping John Paul out, because what you got to remember is that, when you're going out with someone, if they've got children, obviously that's going to be their number one priority. So you can at least make some effort with them, especially if you do see a feature with them. And yeah, I do feel like Felix kind of needs to put more effort on his side in terms of Mercedes' child, which is Bobby. I'm only saying that because obviously Felix doesn't know Bobby's a murderer, so it's only what Felix knows. And I do feel like that could have helped him maybe a bit there. And again, interesting kind of like dynamic going on at the McQueens. They're all having like family parties and games, etc. So obviously, Christmas was probably quite well spent with them. And moving on, gonna talk about Juliet finally told her mum now, which was the final, I guess, puzzle for her, because she was shielding her mum from the news, especially that now she started treatment. And Perry and Nadira know. Nadira's been quite supportive from the start. Perry kind of didn't want to believe it, let's call it that. She probably just, tried to say Juliet was lying. But I think because Perry's known longer, Juliet longer, that she just didn't want to believe it. She went home and I think she was just distraught. Steve was there like a strong support unit for Juliet again, kind of told Perry, you know what, go back there, and you know she needs all the support she can get. And I think luckily for Juliet, Perry met Juliet in the park, and I think they had shared a cuddle, because obviously Juliet kind of admitted that she's not really coping well. Perry can now see how serious this is. I do feel like the support that Juliet's got, quite happy for her character that she's got all that support, and her mum didn't take it too well either. She kind of, you know, jetted off outside the house, but she came around like, you know, maybe half an hour later or so, and she wanted to spend time with Juliet. I think Juliet was gone. I'm glad mainly Perry and Juliet's mum, they came to terms and they've dealt with it, and they've kind of started to support Juliet. That was really pleasing to see as a viewer. Now we're going to talk about, finally, to finish off, the whole situation with Eric again, going online and just doing God knows what, and you know, obviously spreading some hate against women especially, and he's not really dealing with the fact that his sister passed away. I think he's obviously trusted his sister as the only woman on earth, and in general he's got a very hard time just getting along with women, to be honest. I think that's just his character. And when Tony and Diane and Beau, which is Tony's son, they all knocked on Eric's caravan. Don't forget, guys, Diane's actually always very uncomfortable around Eric's presence. I'm not sure if you guys realised, she's just always uncomfortable. She just knows there's something there that's not right, and Darren's pointed that out in the previous episode. And I think most people are kind of uncomfortable about Eric. Some might think he's quirky, some might think there's something about him, and some might think there's something about him that they can't point their fingers at. But Diane's always wary, and yeah, obviously Tony was trying to please Eric and bring him out, etc. I think Eric went off on one and started talking mumbo jumbo, and then Beau was his acting's like, body language is quite funny. He's like you know, giving like side glances to Diane, etc., thinking, well, what is this? So what is Eric saying? I'm kind of scared. I thought that was quite comical, but in a very twisted way. But yeah, gonna leave it at this episode review, guys. Hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.